tuning into my kill cage tutorial. This is primarily for new players. Most of the more experienced players will probably have their own set ways of doing things, and I know that they do say that you shouldn't really build in a prefab place just because of the whole despawn thing that likes to happen occasionally. I find that tends to happen no matter where you build, really, so you just take the chance with it. But in this case, yeah, we've decided to do a well build. It's a very easy to build, basically horde kill place, and a nice easy setup for a base. If you're lucky enough to find one of these in your world when you first start in, then you're off to a good start. I'm just showing you here at the beginning. One thing to note, if you are new to the game, there's a rung missing on this ladder that we're about to go down. If you don't put it in, you'll have a very nasty experience with these spikes below. So yeah, make sure you put that extra rung in before you come down. This is a really fantastic starter base for people. You're completely secure down here. Nothing can get down to you, just because of the way that the zombie AI work. And that's another good thing about this particular kill cage, is it just utilizes the way how stupid the zombie are in this version of the game. So first up, find yourself a well. You want to come down to this area. You want to clear all these spikes out of the way, and this essentially is going to be where all the zombies are going to fall. So next step up is basically to create a 3x3 opening for yourself, just in this area here, and right there is exactly where all the zombies are going to fall down, and you're going to get lots of XP. Because that's primarily what you want here. You want to get as much XP together as quickly as possible, and there are many benefits to this particular build. I'll go over those in just a bit, but yeah, you want to clear as much of the area above you as possible, as you can see here. So I cleared the whole area out, including the house that was just next to me. That just stops the zombies from bumping into anything. And I make a primary entrance for myself, because this is going to be the entrance that you'll use from now on, because the entrance that you were just using through the top of the well is going to become your kill cage. So essentially you want somewhere to be able to get in and out without worry. And this area here is essentially all going to be opened up, so the whole thing will be 3x3 wide all the way up to the top. So I'm adding a door in here, and I've also added a 3x3 section just in the center there by that ladder. I haven't extended it right out to the end, so it's just essentially a step, and then on the left hand side you'll see as I move around that I've actually added a doorway entrance in. Now I'm in creative mode when I'm doing this, so I've got the luxury of being able to reinforce everything up. Excuse me. When you first start, you won't need to do that. I can understand it's going to take a little bit of time to some players to be able to build up to concrete and whatnot. You should be able to get the same effect by simply using, I think even if you take the wooden blocks and upgrade them to iron, you should still be able to get the same effect just for that bottom block. Obviously the rest of it around it is concrete at the moment, so that won't be an issue for you. And you'll be killing the zombies so quickly when they fall into this hole that the amount of damage that they'll actually do on this area is negligible. You can always keep iron in your inventory and steel in your inventory just for upgrading stuff as you go along. But as you'll see here, essentially, I'm just because I've got the luxury of creative, I'm going around and I'm upgrading stuff. But the brilliant thing about this build, I say brilliant, the great thing about this build is that the zombies essentially will always be just in that one direction. They will always be in front of you. You won't have to worry about them coming from any of the sides. So you're just always focusing your direction in one direction, so meaning you can take out big groups of zombies very, very easily. There you go. The reason that I've left the gap will become apparent a little bit later on. So what I've done here is I've added, again, I've got the reinforced doors because I'm at that point in the game. For the time being, normal doors not to say normal doors, I wouldn't use wood, but you know, something that's a bit sturdier in place of these will be more beneficial. I've also put a secondary door in this side, and I decided to create a little ramp, so that way if, and it's highly unlikely, any zombies happen to get through the door on the right hand side, they will then have to go through another door in order to get to me. But I'm going to put some bars up, so if any zombies were to get out of this room, I'd be able to shoot them through the bars before they even got to that second door, which again is another benefit of this design. And the reason that I use bars here and also in the kill cage, and it's also the reason that there's the step, is because any zombies that you kill, you then don't have to go into the cage to harvest their bodies. I say any zombies, obviously the ones that are further at the back you can, and this is where this door comes in, and also for doing repairs. But the ones that are in the main kill cage, you'll find are running towards the cage a lot of the time. So when you shoot them, they just simply fall into that little gap just in front of you, making harvesting bodies a lot easier for you, and putting you obviously a lot less at risk. As you can see here, I did a little bit of a jump. I didn't think that I could get up there because I've tested this many times, but you can't. Another good thing about this build is all the time you're building this, you're safe. Nothing can get to you because you're underground, and all of this build is underground. You've still got the hatch upstairs, which you haven't opened up yet for the main drop area, and you're in and out. You've already created a separate tunnel at the back that you're utilising. Right, even though it looks like I might have done a little bit of work here, I actually haven't. All I've done is I've opened up the tunnel in the centre just so it's 3 wide all the way up to the top, as you can see there. So that's all that I've done. I've just extended it so it's all now 3 wide, and I've just put a little bit of paving out to the sides, and here I'm just adding the ladders in. Now I found by adding the ladders in, the zombies they're more than happy to just step off onto the ladders, because of the way the mechanics work in the game. Beforehand they can be a bit reluctant and they would just kind of waver around the top, but with the ladders in there, as you'll see, they just simply drop off the top. Now what I've done is a row of 3 ladders on one side, and directly opposite another 3 rows of ladders, and then it's 1 ladder either side of that on the opposite walls. Just because of the way that the block system works on the game, you can't have 3 rows essentially on every wall. And that is essentially your kill cage complete. Everything is now in place. The ladders don't come all the way down to the floor, just because we don't want them climbing back out again. And they do stop a little bit short there on the sides as well, because otherwise you sometimes have a tendency of the zombies getting to a certain point on the ladder and then other zombies just standing on their heads. Now that still happens a little bit within this build, but you don't have anywhere near as much of an issue. And if you just move up a little bit closer to the cage, you can easily encourage stuff to drop down. I even found with this build that you can sometimes stand a little bit back from the cage in a crouch position, and they don't actually know that you're there. That might just be the bars mechanic, but I've got this build, and you see just a little bit later on, I've actually set up some forges on the right hand side, so essentially you can turn all your forges in and you can encourage all the zombies to come to you even when it's not horde night, just to get that extra XP. It's a fantastic way of doing it. Hope you enjoyed the video.